Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here. I'm bringing you another video on cryptocurrencies. Today I'm going to be talking about a cryptocurrency that I'm not necessarily sure is like a good idea, but it's a fork of a very popular cryptocurrency, so it could potentially be a good investment. So I'm just going to talk about it. I don't own any of this coin. I'm not sure that I will. Actually, that's not true. I mined like 1/100th of a ZClassic coin, so I own 1/100th of a coin, which is like 2 cents right now. So I have a 2 cent stake in this coin. So, I'm totally I'm gonna pump and dump for you guys here, but no. For real though, this coin, I'm not so sure on it. Like, it's a highly risky thing. It's the sort of thing that you might spend like $10 on and just hope later on you'll get something back for, but you don't really want to spend much money on it really right now. And obviously, you can spend more than $10 if you want. I just would not recommend to anyone to spend a large amount, especially because it's so absolutely cheap right now. So with ZClassic, this is it's a fork of Zcash. Like I said, there's another fork of Zcash called Zencash. I prefer Zencash to ZClassic because Zencash actually offers some things that are new, while ZClassic does not. The main difference between ZClassic and Zcash is that there's no founders fee. So with no founders fee, that means that the network has slightly better security and all the coins go to the community, not to the founders. A lot of people don't like really high founders fee, and the Zcash founders fee is phenomenally high. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest, but again, yeah, like I said, it had a low market cap. The total market cap of ZClassic is under 1,000 Bitcoin, so it's super small, very small market. It's got the same, like I said, it's just a fork of Zcash, so it has the same zero knowledge algorithm. It's got the same privacy. It can copy all the updates that are made to Zcash. So if anybody, like, you might say, okay, there's no founders fee for ZClassic, so it's never going to get updates. And it's like, well, it'll still get updates because its updates are the same as the updates for Zcash, and I think some of the Zencash updates are still applicable to ZClassic as well. Like I said, Zencash actually offers some new things, so it could potentially, do better than ZClassic, but you never really know. It's really hard to tell in the world of cryptocurrencies, but again, ZClassic can just copy updates made to the other cryptocurrencies, so that's not really an issue for it. And then the final point I want to talk about is that ZClassic better follows in Bitcoin's footsteps because Bitcoin itself, there's no founders fee for Bitcoin. A lot of people really don't like founders fees. I like founders fees. I think they should be around like 5% max because 5% of a coin supply is a massive amount. So, I mean, I think there should be one. I just think it should be very, very small. So like ZClassic coming out with no founders fee, is that better than Zcash's 20% founders fee? It honestly might be. So that's why I'm keeping this here, only because the founders fee on Zcash is unbelievably high. Like, it's so stupidly high. It's phenomenal. But if you look at something like ZClassic, there's no founders fee. Even Zencash, which has an 8.5% founders fee and then 3.5% to the nodes, like 8.5% might be a little high. But again, that's more my sort of ball game, 8.5%. So I really like Zencash. Zcash is okay. I think it's got a decently high price for the technology behind it, so I'm not sure that I would invest a huge amount in that. But Zcash again, like I think it's a better buy than Bitcoin. But it's a little bit, it's really hard to tell with these cryptocurrencies. Each one has its advantages and disadvantages. So for ZClassic, there's no founders fee. That's a huge advantage. But then again, there's no founders fee, so that's a slight disadvantage because with no founders fee, who's going to make sure that everything keeps getting updated and that there's innovation in the coin? But anyways, if we talk about these bits individually, the market cap's under 1,000 Bitcoin, so if it becomes mainstream, the returns will be massive. It's really hard to get in on a coin that is solid, that has such a low price. Most of the times, the earliest you will really know about a coin that has decent technology behind it, but it still has a low price. Like, you're super lucky to get in at $20 if you can find a coin that cheap. A lot of times it takes a little while for the coin to sort of get heard, and so like by the time you hear about a coin, it's at about $100. Well, ZClassic is at $2 or something right now, $2 to $3, very very low. It's also got it uses Equihash, the Equihash algorithm for mining, so it's fairly easy for newcomers to come in and mine. I'm not saying you can just walk in and start mining and mine a huge amount. Like I said, I think my GPU is like a NVIDIA 650 Ti or something like that. So not like a massive GPU. Like I could play video games on this computer if I wanted to. I guess I don't really do it that much. I actually built this as a gaming computer, but then never really made it or used it for gaming. Used it for cryptocurrencies instead. But yeah, even with my computer, like I'm pretty sure I still make money mining the cryptocurrency just with my computer on something like ZClassic. Actually, maybe not ZClassic. I think I do on Zencash. It's hard to tell, like, but I know it's in there, so that like the mining is still very small scale. Is all I'm trying to say. It's small scale, and you can make your returns just running a computer, basically. Again, the issue though with that with mining is a lot more complicated than just like can you make money on this coin. You have to ask yourself, can you make more money on other coins, and then which coins do you want to hold? Which ones do you want to sell? It's an interesting question. What coin to mine? It's very complicated. But then again, because the market capitalization is so low, even though the returns could be high, so is risk. So again, I don't recommend anybody like dumping $100,000 into this coin, you're gonna get crushed. Or if you, I guess you don't, you're not necessarily gonna get crushed, but like that's a massive amount of money, and you're gonna have like it's gonna take forever for anybody to be able to buy those coins off you. So not necessarily you're gonna get crushed. You could make a massive amount of money if you did put $100,000 in this coin. I'm just saying I wouldn't recommend it because it's not really a liquid coin. It's a much smaller market cap, so it's a little bit harder to sell your coins. But again, there's no founder's fee, so this means that all the coins go to the miners, which increases network security. Because if you think about it, the more you're paying the miners, the more network security you have. And if 20% of your block reward goes to the founders, then the miners only get 80% of the coins from the block reward. So ZClassic, by definition, has better security than Zcash if the two have the same size market capitalization. Obviously, right now Zcash is much bigger than ZClassic, so there's much more security behind Zcash, but that's just because it's bigger. So if they were even size, ZClassic would have better security. Again, because there's no founder's fee, the coins all go to the miners, and like I said before, 80 to 90% of coins are sold by miners to purchase new equipment, and so there's more coins on the market that are ready to be sold to investors. So it's easy for an investor to get in. And then because there's no fee, the final thing, and this is more of a warning, it means that the developers are not paid. Now, Bitcoin, it does not have a founder's fee, so ZClassic is kind of follows in the footsteps of Bitcoin, but because the developers aren't paid, it makes them a little bit less reliable. But anyways, moving on, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But moving on, ZClassic again, because it's a fork of Zcash, it uses the same privacy algorithm. It uses the two-way zero knowledge ZK snarks. Like I said before, Zcash and ZClassic, both of them, they let you use the coin both publicly or privately. You can do it either way, so that's perfection. That's the way I like to have my coins. Let you have choice. I always feel like choice is a good idea. And then the final point though about the privacy is that again, just like Zcash, the privacy on ZClassic is so good it might be too good. It causes it some problems. They're not huge problems, but it causes it some problems. And it depends on who you ask how bad these problems like can get. I think like I like a lot of the coin. One of my favorite coins right now is Zcoin, and the Zcoin founder really trashes ZClassic and Zcash. I think he goes way too hard on it. I mean, it is an issue. The fact that it's so private that you can't tell the supply on the private network, but it's not as big of an issue as you would think. But anyways, ZClassic again. This final bit here. Actually, no, we got two more bits here. ZClassic also, again, it can copy updates made to Zcash. So even though, like you say, ZClassic has no founder's fee, how are they going to keep updates coming out? Well, all they have to really do is copy Zcash. Now this can be an issue because I mean you can say, well, ZClassic's going to do whatever Zcash does, so that's fine, but it also means that ZClassic itself is not innovative. It's not leading the way, so that'll make less people, likely to actually jump on board. If it had a great developer that started to be innovative, then it would, just take off, because if it could do some things that Zcash couldn't, for whatever reason, and it could be very small things like updating wallet software, whatever it is, just doing small updates. If it could get out and ahead of Zcash, then it would crush Zcash. That being said, with no founders fee, I highly doubt that it will. And then this final bit here is that ZClassic follows in Bitcoin's footsteps. Like I said before, Bitcoin had no founders fee. It was basically created so that the community would run it, and ZClassic does the same thing. Um, some people say that's a bad thing to the extent that there's no profit incentive for the developers, other than generally speaking, developers are some of the first people to invest in a coin. That's the way it worked for Bitcoin. It's a little less true for these newer coins coming out because they're more well known than Bitcoin was its first few years. But anyways, so it's community run, so ZClassic follows in the footsteps of Bitcoin. But again, the question is that an advantage or a disadvantage? It can be good and it can be bad. With no founders fee, there's better security, there's more coins to the community, but there's no profit incentive for the developers. Again, so you got to be careful with this one. Again, the market cap on this is super low, so I wouldn't advise anybody putting a huge amount of money into this. But with market cap at 1,000 Bitcoin, like there's phenomenal returns that can be made. They could be made very quickly. The question is, will it catch on or not? And that's a hard question to answer, especially because it's a fork. And so the only real thing it offers different than Zcash is that there's no founders fee. So you could say it's more fair than Zcash, but that's about it. And it's hard to say if that's enough to bump it up to where it'll really take off. Nobody really knows. But anyways, so going back over all these things, market cap's at 1,000% or 1,000 Bitcoin. We just talked about that, and the benefits that it can offer. Again, because like there's benefits and disadvantages. You get better security, but you get no founders profit incentive to help ensure that developments on the network keep coming out. Again, though, but because ZClassic is a fork of Zcash, you can copy all those updates that Zcash has, and so it really doesn't have to worry about that much. And then finally, ZClassic, it's really kind of made to be like Bitcoin itself. It's like the Zcash or it's like Zcash has been reverted to its original Bitcoin form, but it still retains its Zcash algorithm of two-way zero knowledge. That's what ZClassic is. But again, whether or not this will actually turn out well for investors, that remains to be seen. I just think it's an interesting coin out there, especially because of the high market cap of something like Zcash. You might be interested in something with a lower market cap like ZClassic. Again, you can also look at Zencash. I'll have a video out on that. And if you watch my Zencash video, I might sort of trash ZClassic a little bit, and that's only because when I was first trying to download the ZClassic blockchain, I was having a lot of trouble with it, and I had to go in and manually change some settings in order to get it to sync up, and so that was the issue I had with that. So if you watch that video again, and that should go as a risk. Like if I had to manually change some settings to download the blockchain, that can be an indication that the development team is not doing what they should be. Because I haven't had that problem with basically any other blockchain, but it is what it is. Maybe it was just some one-off thing, and it was just, I just got bad luck, so I had to manually insert nodes for my blockchain to sync, but who really knows? I'll come out with videos on that later on, but anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative, and I hope you learned a little bit more about the cryptocurrency ZClassic.